Right back at you on the Real Kyper Bourne Show. Leaf Hour edition. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Just prior to leaving the studio, off air, of course, a light bulb went off. And I gave you guys homework to leave the studio. And based on where we are with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I just said, guys, give me like 5 storylines on where maybe in the last 10 years the Leafs may have veered off. I don't know if it's an 18-wheeler like Brian Burke days, but it kind of veered a little bit. So give me 5. And then you guys looked at me and go, "You're so negative." And I said, "Oh, wait, hey, give me 5 positive ones then too."
There it is.
And then
there
you were
is.
like, "Now, okay.
All right.
Now I'm on board." So
I believe Bourne's response was, "No way."
yes, that's right. You're right.
In the end, it was Sam will do it.
So a little later on, we will go through the last decade of where we think it went well and where it didn't. And maybe that's why we are where we are with the Toronto Maple Leafs today.
Yeah.
So it sounds okay?
Yeah, so over the Shanny era, basically.
Basically, yes.
Good moves, bad moves, over the Shanny era.
Sounds good to me.
I have
Sounds good to
13
me.
bad ones and 8 good ones.
Sounds like you got enough for the show, pal.
What's that?
I have 13 good ones.
Okay,
I have
good.
13 bad ones,
Good,
8
but,
good ones.
You know, it wouldn't be right to go right into them now without at least advancing the Toronto Maple Leaf storyline. And there are various reports out there, including Sportsnet.ca, where our Elliot Friedman confirmed that the Maple Leafs have granted permission to the New York Islanders to speak to Brendan Shanahan.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Hard to imagine a world where you would let your team president speak to another team while you intended to keep him, right? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I think you're right on the surface, but if you, I don't know, go a little deeper, I'll expand my thoughts, but basically that's where you're at. Like, basically, you're not going to keep a guy that you're granting permission.
Yeah, you've like mentally moved on from him if you're saying, yeah, you can have him. However, I guess there is a chance that it's like, there's nothing better than what we have, so go take a look.
Well, okay, it's well documented now that his contract's coming up.
In
Okay.
June, I think I read.
Yeah, June 30th, maybe.
Yeah.
So, like a player with a contract coming at the end of the term, is he treating himself like a free agent? And he wouldn't be the first guy to cover his tracks like everybody does it. If we knew something was coming that was imminent with our jobs, the first thing we'd probably do is maybe, I don't know, look for another job.
Right.
So could it just be as simple as Brendan going back to MLSE and saying, you know, my contract's up. I got to cover myself. Would you mind if I look around?
I think the fact that he hasn't been extended yet gives him full right to go ask that question. I think it's probably easier to ask the question. But I do think if they had concluded they wanted him to stay in the role with the Leafs, they'd just be like, well, hang on. Let's talk about your contract here first before we get to that.
Let's have a meeting.
Yeah.
That they're supposopally,
let's sort through this. That's going to be there in a week or whatever, a few days.
Can I give you another scenario?
Of
okay.
course, yeah.
Brendan's coming off a very, very lucrative contract. Exactly what, I don't know. but we know was often referred to as one of the highest.
Mm-hmm.
Could he be in a scenario where he wants another contract like that, and the Leafs or MLSE is not prepared to give him that much, but they'd still like to keep him around, but
Right.
we're not going to pay you that much, but we would pay you this on maybe a shorter term deal. Is that a scenario that?
Well, I mean, it's possible. I don't think that Scott Malkin and John Ledecky of the Islanders are going to give him $7 million to be a president or whatever he made here. I don't know. I'm throwing numbers at the wall.
But if you're Brendan, wouldn't you try? Wouldn't you try?
But
Kyle
get it.
Dubas is making $7 in Pittsburgh. Why can't I go to somewhere else?
Yep.
Can I create a bidding war? Am I any different than any
Yeah.
pending free agent to go out there and shop for my services?
Well, I guess there's an element of the Marner situation here with Shanahan where it's like you're well within your right to do that, and I see why other people covet you, but like it doesn't work here anymore. You know, would the team here just be like it doesn't?
Well, I think that's fair for
Right.
sure, and maybe that's what's going on
Yeah, go
right
ahead
now.
and take a look. Well, we're going to talk tomorrow, and this is going to be
But-
irrelevant anyway.
Maybe they offered him a contract already, and he's trying to see if he could make it better.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I just say something about all this?
Mm.
It sucks.
Yeah. The Shanny part?
Yeah, just that we're even just here. You know,
Okay. But we are, Sam. We are.
I watched last night, and I saw the Florida Panthers, who the Leafs fought tooth and nail with the 7th game of the series, and they laid a big egg in Game 7. I realized that, but they were close with the Panthers. And I watched them walk into Carolina and just put an absolute
job.
beat down on the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's like, I think back to Game 3 where the Leafs hit the post in the dying second, or maybe dying minutes of that game. Morgan Riley down the left wing. I think of the 2 separate 2-goal blown leads.
buddy.
Like,
Yeah,
I think about all this stuff, and it's like, we're so close to coming in here on today where we would be breaking down the Toronto
1.
Maple Leafs Game 1, and we're like, oh, maybe Shanny's talking to the island. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
I know, but Sam, it's
no, I'm
the
sorry.
reality.
I'm being honest.
I know.
This sucks. I
Okay.
hate having this conversation.
Do you not want to participate in
No,
this
we
conversation?
can't. We can't.
Okay, listen, I'll give you
can't.
some quiet time in the corner,
no,
Sammy.
I'm always in the corner
Okay.
anyway. But I know that there's some Leaf fans listening to this that saw the result from last night or tried to even watch that game, which I'm sure there's
the Leafs would have mobbed
I'm
them.
sure there's millions of people across this country that were like, I can't bring myself to look at the Florida Panthers yet. But like, it really does suck that we're here. And then we're talking about the president leaving. We're talking about the Marner contract now. It's like, you snap your finger and it's like, we're right into off-season mode, and they were close to not being it. That's my only point.
So let me ask you, JB, just prior to this story out there about Brendan being granted permission,
Yeah.
where were you on everything? Because I found it very quiet the last little while here. So we know there's stuff going on behind the scenes. What exactly? But where was your gut going with today prior to hearing about Brendan having permission?
You know, my gut aside, just from talking to whomever, listen, I'm like you. Everywhere everyone sees me right now, it's Leafs talk, right? That's everyone does our job, but for free on the outside right now, basically.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And it's just waiting for Brendan to get fired. That's, the assumption. I'm not saying that was my assumption. I'm saying that is the assumption generally. And then from there, what's that going to mean and what happens after that? So in terms of quiet, I guess it's weird for them to lose on a Sunday night and the board to meet on Thursday. To me, that's like,
It's a long time.
What are you up to? This is a pretty big decision here but
I would say,
I guess they're busy.
from the conversations I've had with my friends and all the Leaf fans in my life, that it would be a stunning development for them, for Brendan Shanahan to return to the Toronto Maple Leafs as president. Wouldn't you agree? Like, from the people that you've talked to, I think it would be a pretty stunning development.
I've made it very clear from the moment the Leafs lost Game 7 and I went on with Ivanka and Ken on Sportsnet Central, I did not expect Brendan back.
Mhm.
And I still feel that way. crazier things have happened in sport, but the tendency is that, for me anyways, that there needs to be a different look at the top.
Here's my Sam McKee. Can I say something? You guys mind if I just ask a question?
Please.
He's so sweet.
Can I just get in? I wonder if that would affect Mitch Marner at all. Like if they did change leadership and they said Shanahan's no longer there or whatever else happens, if someone new wouldn't come in and said, stop.
No.
We're not getting rid of the guy who just had 102 points and gets nominated for a Selke. Stop.
We already did this.
I'm just saying, I'm wondering.
Yeah.
We already did this, though, with when Treliving came in.
Yes.
Right at the only opportunity you had to
I
get
know.
anything in return for Mitch Marner, we already did this.
But everyone comes to the Leafs and goes, I just want to take a look before I do anything.
Yeah, it's like,
And it's like, we need the stuff to be done.
I'm always surprised by that. Like, I mean, there are millions of people watch your games every night. Like, do you not have cable? Did you not see?
That's how I feel about Berube at times this year. It's like, what do you mean you weren't aware of what was happening here?
You just don't. You don't know what it's like. I don't know.
I think for Mitch Marner, regardless of Brendan being there or not being there, he just knows it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't work. And there needs to be changes, and I'll volunteer myself.
And I think one of the big defenders of the core four sort of ideal was Brendan Shanahan. Like, I don't know the inner workings, but you've heard enough rumblings here and there.
Defender, pal.
The number one
He staked his
guy.
reputation on it.
So I think that is why it would be hard to believe that they would that they would let Shanahan go, and then Marner's like, oh, maybe I will stay the number one guy that defended and kept me here, right? So I have a hard time.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, Kip, that and nothing you've heard, you sounded more definitive there about the Marner thing than you have.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I think Elliot went on post-game Carolina and Florida and talked about, is there still room for him and the Leafs to come together? He thinks, as of last night, I'm not sure how he feels today, but as of last night, he thought he kept a small window open for maybe them giving Mitch a couple of days and revisiting it. But I just don't see that scenario after everything we've watched up until this point.
It's going to be really hard if any of these things don't happen. They need to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe they go to maybe he goes to New York, to the Islanders with Brendan.
I can't. It's not. That would be great. Like, as someone who likes the Islanders to do well, adding a good player would be incredible. It would be amazing. I just like to see some new characters in the plays that I watch. I feel like I'm watching reruns.
Yeah.
But anyway,
The
he'd be a welcome addition.
The other thing I did mention, that if there seems to be a little bit of a delay here for maybe the MLSE to make some sort of decision moving forward, maybe they're looking a lot deeper past Brendan Shanahan. I've mentioned already earlier this week that if it's not the biggest department, it's definitely one of them with a lot of employees here. Are they also revisiting the structure of the various departments? The last count I had was 5 assistant general managers with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Is that right?
5.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's
It's
a lot of cooks
Could they-
tasting the broth.
Could they be spending time this week on revisiting exactly what is it you do around here?
Well, usually I just sit at my desk for 15 minutes and just zone out until about 10 a.m. When you say zone out, what do you mean?
Okay, yeah, the assistant general managers are Brendan Pridham. There's a special advisor to the general manager, which is Shane Doan.
Okay.
Derek Clancy, player personnel. Player development, Dr. Haley Wickenheiser. Hockey research and development, Daryl Metcalf. Assistant general manager, minor league ops and GM, Ryan Hardy. So
What would you say
there's a lot.
you do here?
That's 5. 6 if you include Doan.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's a lot of guys.
It's a lot of people.
And women.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I do think that if it is something, now first off, we're waiting for the sale to be completed for MLSE and Bell, right, for the portion of the team. But it's in spirit, everyone knows it's happening. It's a done deal that it's going to be a Rogers MLSE.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there is some restructuring, you'd mentioned yesterday, it may not just be the Leafs. It could be the whole organization. My point is that it seems like they're making large decisions here, not just, which free agent do we like best? It's who's making the decision about who makes the decisions.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada.
So maybe that's why they're
And when you're coming off such an emotional loss, it's a lot easier to do it now than if they were winning, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you have carte blanche right now. If you want to do something, go ahead. No one's saying, how dare you?
Yeah.
So that's where basically I see things now. Could we see something as early as this week? Tomorrow, Friday, with the board meetings tomorrow. Could you think that they'd want to do this week?
Our show ends at 6 tomorrow. They'll have a 6:05 presser. No, Friday. 6:05 Friday presser.
Which
coming
we
up.
would be happy about.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Right? Nobody wants to hear us any more than they have to.
No, I'm good. I mean, we'll talk about it Monday, I guess. But,
Anyways, all right. Well, we'll just wait. We'll wait.
Before we get into, I went on with Gunnar and Ben this morning, and we talked so many different angles yesterday, but Ennis and Gunnar both brought up the Matthews thing to me yesterday, and I wanted to get your guys' take on this. That he said, 4 months of rehab or whatever, like he should be able to get back to 100%. Should they have put him on LTIR and spent the money? And, do you think he would have pushed back against that his first year as the captain? But this is all hindsight 2020 stuff, clearly. But we're captain hindsight right now. The Leafs aren't playing anymore. In hindsight, maybe you should have considered it. Maybe a couple months off would have really done the trick for him.
Now it looks good. The other question is if you want to spend that money to get better players at the deadline, look at the assets they gave up to get Carlo and Lawton. What else could you have
It's fair take.
purchased with what you had, to use the Matthews money?
But they had to add extra to be able to retain and all this different stuff.
Yeah.
So
I don't
know.
We had these conversations, guys. We talked about putting him on a long-term IR. We had the conversation of don't go to Four Nations.
Yeah.
Don't go.
We had that conversation a lot.
A lot. And what happens if, me personally, I didn't like him coming out and playing the injury card. I think he just should have been quiet about it.
Oh, he was asked about it. He didn't volunteer it.
No.
He's asked about it.
No, you when you answer it, you volunteer your answer. He could have said,
no comment?
I'm not going there. I'm not using it as an excuse, right? We just weren't good enough.
I would have preferred him to be more forthcoming to help him his own perception, to be honest with you. But anyways, we don't have to go too deep into it. If
you were good enough to be on the ice, then just let your play stand alone. That's my whole point.
Yep.
Sam.
It's fair.
Sam.
It's fair.
That's all, right?
Fair.
Because everybody's hurting. Everybody's not 100%. I'm sure he wasn't, of course, but anybody can turn around and say, I'm hurt or I'm not 100%.
Hey, are you hurt? And he said, I don't want to talk about it. And then we're saying, how dare he talk about it? It's like what he had to say words. I don't know. Tough spot for the kid.
Yeah, but you could have just said, no, I was good enough to play.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all.
All right.
Anyways.
So, yeah, that's why I brought it up.
All right.
I shouldn't have.
You want to start into this a little bit?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So, once again, let's revisit the fact that I gave you a homework assignment.
Yes.
And I asked you for, let's just say, for argument's sake, 5 top decisions made over the course of Brendan Shanahan's tenure with the Leafs, and 5 not so great.
I had a lot easier time with not so great.
Do you want to start with not so great or great?
I mean, let's start with not so great.
Present away.
So hold on.
13 bad ones.
Okay, but did you rank them from least to the worst?
I wouldn't. I mean, number one's obvious.
Okay, let's start at the bottom first. What do you got for me?
Okay, bottom.
It's not that obvious because I don't know what it is.
The bottom. We'll start with the bottom. Ryan Reeves signing. 13th on the list?
Yeah. Okay.
I got zero issues for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Zero.
really?
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
Yeah.
A guy that's making $1 million, he brought some attitude. You know what he brought? He brought the belief that we're not going to get pushed around anymore. It wasn't perfect, and he went more on reputation than actually dropping his gloves. But at least it showed that they're kind of driving it to the right direction of we're not going to be pushovers anymore.
That was, but I mean, to be fair, I don't want to spend too much time on this.
Okay.
That was my 13th
All right,
one
so
because you told me to start at the bottom.
okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Morgan Riley contract, where we're sitting here now.
Mm-hmm.
Is not so great.
Okay.
But you know, it's
It's
not,
lower at the bottom, too.
Yeah, even that, it's not a negative trade value contract. You probably get back a
Sure about
fifth
that?
for it or something.
Sure about that?
You don't have to add anything to get rid of it.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay with it at 7.5. If it was, it's like, boys, Seth Jones. Okay, let's just talk about that. Dead in the water in Chicago. Nobody wants him. Untradeable contract. Blah 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 blah. Okay, he stinks. He's no good. He's exposed. No one's going to touch him. That's all I heard from various people.
Okay.
What happens? They eat a little bit of his salary.
Mhm.
He goes from unworkable conditions in Chicago
Mhm.
to a great scenario for the Florida Panthers, who is arguably the best player on the ice in Game 7, and now he's doing it for Florida now. Okay? That's, to me, that gives Morgan Riley and a bunch of those guys, Carlson in Pittsburgh, it gives teams hope that just because it doesn't work here doesn't mean I can't make it work there.
How about a good move?
Sprinkle it in.
The Jake Muzzin trade was a good move.
Muzzin's pretty high on my list of trades I
Yeah.
like.
We're going to look back in the Brendan Shanahan era, and we're going to say, what could it have looked like if he would have been able to stay healthy?
He missed 2 playoff runs right when he was basically their best defenseman.
Yep.
You know?
So
And if you had him, you wouldn't have had to go out there and spend it on Jake McCabe.
Yeah.
he was, and the trade was Dursey, which hurts. I mean,
Does it?
not terribly. Carl Gunstrom. And
Muzzin made up for that.
Yeah, and a first-round pick was, which was Tobias Bouillonfoot. So that was a good trade for the Leafs, and I love Jake Muzzin. And his first game, I remember he hammered somebody and scored a goal, and I was like, oh my God,
That's
I
our dude.
love him
He
so
was there.
much.
He was at home before at home.
Yeah,
Can I give you a positive one for me?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
See if I have one on my list.
Stolars.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I know at the very beginning, we're like, okay, can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy? And lo and behold, he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But what he gave the Leafs to win the Atlantic Division and solidify that they were going to get out of the first round was way more than I ever thought.
Yeah.
And the goaltending was as spectacular as I've seen. I don't know how far I got to go back, but it was right up there with Curtis Joseph and Ed Belfour,
Can I ask
Felix Potvin.
Can I ask you a mean, unanswerable question?
Yes.
Do they beat Florida with him as a starting goalie?
I think it's a fair question if he would have been able to
No?
stay healthy. I think it's a fair question.
It's worth asking, but they
Yeah.
weren't even close.
I mean,
And-
I
if
just
they
and
played like
it's
that.
game
It's-
3.
It's a fair question. Could he have stolen game 3
Yeah.
and game 7? I don't know.
No, it's not. I don't think game 5 or game 7 are part of the equation for me. I really don't. But it's game.
Okay. Okay.
That's pretty much it.
For me, remaking the decor, like Carlo and Tanev have made the puzzle pieces fit for the first time.
So this
Buddy,
is so the good moves of the last 11 years
hold on.
are this past offseason, boys.
Yeah, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. But I bypass Carlo and I go straight to Benoit.
Yeah.
Okay.
He brought in
Benoit to me was
Tanev.
bigger than Carlo. I was shocked. I remember watching Benoit in the first exhibition game going, that guy can't skate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he ended up being as important as Chris Tanev.
They have it's interesting. They have
He was a beast.
A decor. He was excellent.
And I'll tell you another great move. They had him 3 years for $4 million. If that guy was going into UFA right now,
Only give him 4 a year.
someone's going to give him 4 a year.
Okay. So those are things that happened.
Recently.
Good things.
Yeah.
Like I have
There's some that are, I can't wait to find out
I
where
ha- I have-
good or bad on.
I have the 20. This is a good moves section, and you may disagree with agree with this, but I thought the 2023 trade deadline was really good. Getting Ryan O'Reilly, Jake McCabe, Shen, and then having Easton Cowan for Sandy.
I have it on bad.
So I knew that you would have it on bad.
Yeah, I have it on bad.
But they got McCabe out of it. Like they still have McCabe, and they signed him to that contract.
He paid $2 million a year here.
Easton Cowan, who is their top prospect and really the only hope for the future, really outside of that is
Nick Foligno was not healthy.
But he wasn't that. That wasn't that year.
I know, but then I have Nick Foligno.
Yeah.
In that, and I have Ryan O'Reilly, who should never have been traded for unless you had him on an extension coming. Mm-hmm. You needed to lock him down. He's the one guy that you could not afford giving up those pieces and having him walk out the door. Mm-hmm. That's why it's bad for me.
There's some big ticket stuff still to come.
But I just think the thing is, I guess I look at that more of through a fan's lens in terms of like what that meant at that time and the departure for Kyle Dubas and what like ultimately that kind of meant. You know, like remember we were on air that day and Pierre Engvall got traded, Sandin got traded. Like it felt like half the roster was completely different. And
it
was.
There was like 7 guys. They got Achari and Lafferty.
Oh yeah, right. It's like Shen's on. Like what? This is a completely. It was a departure. It was exciting. That was the first time they got past the first round with that team. So like I do look back on that as a positive. There's definitely negative spin you can put on it with the Ryan O'Reilly stuff, but I thought that was a really good trade deadline for the Leafs. Bad one.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, this is the worst one. Not the worst one, but close to it. Spending $7.5 this is all in one offseason. Spending $7.5 million on Andre Kasha, Nick Ritchie, and Peter Mrazek instead of paying Zach Hyman $5.5 million.
I have not paying Zach Hyman $5 million. Number 2.
Rich was great.
Number 2.
That gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Kasha, Ritchie, and Mrazek. $7.5 million instead of Zach
and
Hyman.
Like, could you had Hyman for 5.5 like he got? I'm sure.
That's one that
letting
sets
Hyman
you back.
Go was like
you can make
one
the
of
case.
one of
everything's great.
the toughest decisions on. And watching him and what he's been able to do with Leon and Connor and how much he got better. And do we think do we look at him as a 50-goal scorer? No, but he is the real deal.
But they knew that he was the type of guy who would have longevity by the way he takes care of himself off the ice. He's a pro. He is in the gym. He's a nutrition guy. Like you knew he was going to stay good.
You know what I have as the top best thing that they did in 10 years? You traded for Zach Hyman for Greg McCabe.
Greg McKegg.
McKegg. Sorry.
He's got an arm
Greg.
for a leg.
Sorry. That's like, come on.
Yeah.
That's a gift from the hockey gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best thing you think they've done in the last 10 years?
I mean, it's the biggest clear win.
I think
the biggest clear win.
I think signing Chris Tanev is the number one best thing.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're near 1 of 6, pal.
Yeah.
Let's wait
Yeah.
on that one.
Okay, so I think the second worst thing that happened,
Jeez.
which is like kind of encompasses 2 eras and 2 separate things that happened, was signing Patrick Marleau and then what happened because of it.
See, I have that as number 3.
Okay, so we have our 2 flipped.
Yes.
But I think
I have that as number 3. I think it was a disaster for Kyle Dubas to have given up a first rounder to get Marleau off the books that cost you Seth Jarvis.
and you know why they got to get the money off the books? It was to pay Andreas Janssen and Kasperi Kapanen, who neither of them were on the roster, I think, a year
But
later.
he didn't have to do it. But didn't have to do it. What ended up happening was Kyle rushed it. Eat Marleau for another year. Just eat it. You weren't ready to win that year.
Yeah,
Why?
that's
why?
they didn't believe that.
Why are you rushing
right.
that?
But
That's not your year to
They
win.
didn't believe that, right?
They didn't believe that.
And was that the year they lost
Because
to
he got-
Columbus?
Sorry?
They lost to Columbus that year or Montreal?
It was-
it was before that.
Earlier.
Maybe
So
one of the Boston
years.
ones. Maybe
They,
20.
they thought they were ready to turn the page.
They thought they were ready to turn the page.
Yeah.
And they weren't.
Yeah.
You just got too horny too fast.
Yeah.
I do. But the other part of that is it was a bad signing by Lowe.
I have
That when they signed him,
Yes.
they picked the wrong mentory
pro.
type
Yes.
guy where it's like maybe in retrospect that wasn't the right guy to bring in here. And then they paid him way too much. And Dubas made a mistake trading pairing a first round pick to get rid of a 6.5 is a terrible move.
Yeah.
But Lou has to have some fault in it because it was a bad signing from the start.
I got you guys have these things at 2 and 3. I have 3 things that I consider worse than anything. that you
Really?
Hold
guys
on.
have
Oh,
mentioned.
I know where you're going to
Wow.
go.
Okay.
And mine's number 2.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
I have a obvious. like there's no
just get to
comparison.
it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously number 1 is Kadri.
Kadri.
There's no. I mean, it's the worst by far, right?
No.
Well,
What?
Well,
No.
hold on.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa!
It's not
I
the
have
worst.
it.
Don't.
Not the worst.
Okay.
I think I know what you got.
Do we need to go to break?
Yeah, break.
Okay, let's go to break, and we will tell you the number 1 reason why the Leafs are in this mess after the break.
I think I know.
Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne Show, Leaf Hour edition of our program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, as we go over the best and the worst decisions over the last decade with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do a good one just because I feel like we're about
Yeah,
to get
I'm
some
going to do
very
a
bad
good one
ones?
too.
All right.
Yeah.
Signing Jason Spezza was really good. Off of Dallas. He came in here and gave them a veteran element. He
Yeah.
cared, scored some
Yes.
big playoff goals. Need Neil Pionk in the head.
But I'm with you for sure.
He was a good signing.
He gave everything he had.
Yeah. Great fake clapper. Then he would cut out to the outside
yeah.
and shoot it top stairs.
Yeah, I'm okay for sure with
Okay.
with Spezza.
Okay.
And I think Max Pacioretty should be remembered
I have
in
that
that
in there, too.
kind of that same kind of feel.
I just
That
didn't
guy-
want to do this whole
The,
offseason.
the guy, you squeezed everything you could out of Max Pacioretty.
Absolutely.
I tip my cap to him
Yeah. He was
for sure.
good year.
Yep.
Okay, one more positive.
Sure.
Drafting Matthew Nyes,
Yeah, I had it.
57th pick overall
I had that.
a few years ago,
Yep.
right? And yeah, could have used a couple more of those guys.
Yeah.
But at least he's there and he's not going anywhere. I don't see an offer sheet being a threat in any way, shape, or form. So and I loved his comments in the post interviews that I love it here and I don't want to go anywhere. I'm not even thinking about that.
Awesome.
You know, what's funny is like other teams they draft multiple of those guys. They get like 3 guys that are really good from the draft outside of
Okay.
that is allowed.
So
Okay, bad ones though.
do I just go straight to my
Okay,
worst one
so
in 10 years?
both of you guys don't have Nazem Kadri as the worst move.
No.
I have like a list of 3 that he's
Can
in there.
Can I guess what yours is going to be? Can I guess?
Sure.
Letting Lou Lamoriello go for Kyle Dubas.
No.
Okay, what is it? Tell me.
Mark Hunter for Kyle Dubas.
Wow.
Mark Hunter
I
would
had that
not,
as a thought.
Really, you did too.
Mark Hunter would never have damaged the Toronto Maple Leafs as much as Kyle Dubas did.
I can't. It's hard to disagree with that now. I don't know.
I'm just telling you.
You know me and the London Knights thing, man. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
But this guy,
I don't know that Dubas damaged them, but I'm okay with the idea that maybe Hunter would have taken them farther.
damaged is the best word I can describe where they are today over 10 years.
They are bruised fruit.
Okay.
That's
And
for sure.
Does that trickle into the decision of Kadri for Kerfoot and Barry? Yes. It trickles down a lot,
That's better.
right? And we just, a lot of the list was under his watch.
Yeah, it was.
A lot.
Yeah, it was.
So that's my number one.
Here's
I tried not to do just Dubas.
all related to your point. My number one is the contract negotiations for Nylander and Marner, their previous ones. And Matthews, if you want to lump him in there. Because it all went haywire after that. That was Nylander dug in, and they caved at the 11th hour. They never should have caved. They should have said, fine, stay home. And send a message that they
The December one. That played in December.
Whatever the last second was, he signed.
And he was horrendous when he came back.
Useless
from that.
when he came back. Didn't even help the
so
team.
bad.
And now you've sent the message that just wait me out and I'll get there. The next year, Marner holds out. He's not at the first day.
No,
of camp.
hold on. Marner never held out.
He missed the first day of camp.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yes, he did.
Definitely.
Okay, one day at camp.
One day of camp. But if they had any,
He never held out. He didn't miss a game.
no, he didn't. But he didn't show up to camp because he didn't have his contract.
But that's fair. I need a contract. He didn't hold out.
So it's fair when Willie does it too. My point
No,
is they
Willie
messed-
went to December.
I
He
know he
held
did.
out.
But the only reason they caved to Mitch when they did is because they had this precedent where they went with Willie as long as they did, and then Willie came back and was garbage. And they didn't want to go another year with another star, young star, who holds out till God knows when
He
comes in and
didn't
is garbage.
hold out.
He held out.
A day
No,
of
wait.
training camp?
But is that a holdout or not a holdout?
No, it's not a holdout.
Let's see if I.
Oh,
Stop it.
Okay.
Okay, whatever.
Come
That-
on. It's embarrassing that you sit there and say he held out. Holding out means
Not
withholding
showing
your
up to camp
services.
because you want to get money. Withholding your services, you're not showing up what everyone else does because you want more money. That's what happened.
Yes.
He missed a day. Whatever it was.
Oh, my God. Okay, semantics. It's okay.
Yes.
It's all right.
Fine if it's semantics.
Yeah.
So he, at that point, it felt like Marner grinded them for every nickel he could, just the same way that Willie did. And in both cases, they bent. And then it started to feel like it was everyone trying to get their own piece of the
Okay.
pie.
It's a very philosophical one. It's
Okay.
good. I like that.
I'm with you on Dubas screwing this whole thing up with the
Okay.
contracts, for sure. And I'm not going to get into what you think these players deserved or what they didn't, or what they were entitled to. Whatever, we can debate that all day long. But you are 100% on where it
It took a turn.
It took a turn. But I will go even further back, and I'll pin this on Lowe right now.
Okay.
Okay, is that when all of these kids came in at a young age, there were the B bonuses. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
The B
I only
bonuses.
remember this because you've told me about it before.
Lowe didn't give individual B bonuses out. Right?
Mhm.
No good. This is my philosophy. It's a devil's thing. It's my thing.
Yeah.
Don't focus on individual things. Everything's a team. I don't want you going out there trying to score so you can get more money when it doesn't bring in the team together.
Right.
Fair enough. Okay. So it's almost standard. The top 4 and 5 guys get B bonuses. They're built there because they're only getting minimum wage, $8.50, right? At
Yep.
the time. I don't know, $8.25. Like, it's not fair that Eric Lindros, when
It
he
was
was a
probably
rookie,
less than that. Yeah.
when Eric was a rookie, he came in and made more money than Wayne Gretzky, who had 55 records at the time.
Right.
So we can't do that, but we can't have him play for minimum. So we're going to give you these B bonuses.
Yeah.
But Lou didn't want to give them out. So Mitch didn't get them and was told no one's getting them.
Yeah.
What happens a year later? Lou gives them to Austin Matthews.
Well, he was a first overall pick.
So the other guy was a 4th overall pick.
Yeah, it's the big difference between first and fourth.
No, but if
it
it's,
is. It's not.
but if it's an on
It's
principle
not.
thing,
It's a
and-
principal thing. All 4th pick overall guys got them.
Yeah.
But and it's one thing. It's one thing when you're told though, no one's going to get them, so you're not getting them. But don't worry, no one's going to get them.
and I think
12
this
months
is
later, 12 months later,
Yeah.
that guy got him. I didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm out $1.5 million.
And I think
And
philosophically,
and
this is where
It got ugly.
the guys at the top kind of started to just
Yes.
frustrate the guys beneath
Yes,
them.
and it's like now I got to catch up. I didn't get my money. You got your money. Why did he get his money? And it just caused like a snowball effect where it's like everybody's out for their money now.
And do you remember the people been tweeting the hockey news cover of like,
Yeah,
these
playing the
guys Plan the parade cover. Not, it's not if they'll win a cup, it's how many.
Mm-hmm.
And it never felt like those guys gelled. I don't feel like they're pals off the ice. I don't feel like there's,
Yeah,
it didn't work.
correct.
Do you want a couple more?
Oh, yeah.
Protecting Justin Hall and Kerfoot and then letting Jared McCann go.
Thank you.
Good
on
one.
my list.
Good one. That's
on
not on my list.
my list.
What was that?
Number
They
7.
traded for him, had him, and they scored 40 the next year or something, didn't they?
Justin Hall,
And
Kerfoot. I'll never forget that damn fish.
But
They're
you're
like,
like,
I saw this fish with. Remember they were doing like the
Yeah.
it
What
was
happened?
the fish, and I was like, they have the Kerfoot one. They're letting Kerfoot go, and it was McCann. You remember that?
I do remember
That
that. It was
was-
Kevin Weeks.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So funny that we're this far along. We've done the worsts. I feel like I've heard everyone's bests. The name Mike Babcock or Sheldon Keefe hasn't come up. And those are pretty pivotal voices in this era.
I had letting Keefe come back after they blew a 3-1 series lead to Montreal on my list.
I was torn to be like firing Babs was a mistake, but he was kind of vindicated with a lot of his policies.
In
I-
retrospect, it might have been the right call.
Right.
I didn't get to it, but I had not letting Sheldon go with Kyle Dubas.
Yeah.
Keeping him for one more year.
By the way, my Babs comment was not about Sheldon, who I obviously worked with, and I think he's a great coach. But Babs did have a pretty good pulse on this team, it felt like.
No, Babs was
He
was not a nice man.
no.
Yeah, no, I
Okay?
think we all
He's
Too
just
much
not
ego.
and he did not treat Mitch Marner well.
No.
And we know that
Yeah.
obviously with the list.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, we had Naz on. When was that? We interviewed Naz when he wrote his book, talking about the Babcock stuff with that list and how things went. I got a couple. I mean, this one goes way back, but signing Nikita Zaitsev to a 7-year, $31 million contract, Lou Lamoriello, that was an interesting move.
I forgot that happened.
What year was that?
Let me look.
84 years ago.
Nikita Zaitsev contract. He had like a half decent year when he first came over here. He signed that, and then 2017.
2017. Okay. Yeah, that
2017,
fits.
yeah, and then they had to, and then they traded him to Ottawa.
God, they struggled finding D. They did the Ozhiganov thing, and they did the who did they love? Marinson for years there.
Can I throw you one more?
I got like 4.
Yeah.
So
Do you? Okay, I'll throw you one more that
it's an
regretful, not bad decision, just regretful. Not signing Corey Perry.
yeah, I got it. Corey letting was it
big
Wayne? Was it
miss.
Wayne Simmons?
Big miss.
I think he went Wayne Simmons that year.
Yep.
I mean, I like Wayne Simmons.
Me too.
It's not about Simmons, but
Mhm.
Corey Perry scored 20 times this year.
It's unbelievable what he's still doing and how hungry he is, and he's just a winner. Okay, he's just a winner.
He's a wiener.
This one, we've praised the
Can't believe
recent.
I haven't heard this one name yet.
We've praised the recent moves. A first-round pick in Grabankin for Scott Lawton, we may not be looking back on fondly.
I love
So,
Lawton so much. How dare you.
sorry to say it, but I mean, he scored one time, or 2 times, and 1 time on his own
Okay,
net in the
so-
playoffs, and that's it.
It's
So-
offensive to Lottie's hotties.
Sorry,
I
I'm
don't-
sorry. I love Lawton too. He cares, but like,
Remind me, if we put Lawton and Carlo together, what the trade looks like. 2 first-rounders, a 4th, Grabankin, and Minton.
And retention.
Would-
a lot of retention.
And a lot of
retention.
retention. Would you make that trade today for Carlo and Lawton?
Well, they lost. No.
no,
No.
no, right now, no.
I'll tell you what. I like Carlo a lot, and I know more than you.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be here for years. I
Yeah,
think they're going to
okay,
resign
that's
him.
fair. That's
I
fair.
Think, big right shot
Yeah.
D.
Yeah. But
hopefully
listen,
getting in a fist fight
and
helped him.
I really love Lawton and the presence that he brought, but Lawton's a guy that you have to find on waivers.
Yeah, I get.
He's
I-
a guy
I
that
agree.
you have to find in the summer, in August, for a 6th-round pick.
He wasn't good enough to be your addition to help at center. He wasn't.
He wasn't.
How can we
I-
not have Jack Campbell 5-year
Oh.
contract?
They didn't sign him to a
No, no,
No, I
Edmonton.
didn't give him the 5-year.
Edmonton.
But Jack Campbell, period,
Yes.
they traded for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And he was the guy at the heart of the Montreal series in the end.
Yeah, I was
Who-
okay with the trade.
Mentally abused himself.
They
for
didn't.
years.
They didn't pay him. They didn't pay him. They got away from it.
Okay.
You know, they got away from it. They didn't. I think would they trade Trevor Lewis for him, which hurts.
Trevor Moore.
Trevor Moore.
No, he only scored 30.
No, Trevor Moore's a good player.
He
But
was
like
okay. He was okay, I guess.
at the time,
He
they
was fine. I
needed a
don't wanna beat him
goalie.
up.
They needed a goalie.
Such a nice guy.
They needed a goalie, and he was out of this world
What if
for
he
them.
cared about that?
Listen,
I know.
out of this world for
Okay.
them. He was like amazing.
Yeah, he was.
He had some stretches
He had some stretches.
where he was out of this world.
We probably said Vezina in a couple conversations.
Buddy,
at one
I
point.
said-
Ilya Samsonov.
I
Anyone?
compared him to Cujo. The coup de grace that we haven't
You
brought
need
up.
a pause before we break.
No, I got another negative one.
We need a positive.
No, I don't. I know.
We'll turn it into a positive.
I'm going to go. Oh, good luck. Malgin for Marchman.
Dennis
Oh
Malgin.
no, that's my worst one.
Oh, buddy, I have that one too, and I
Oh.
didn't see it. Mason
Here's
Marchman
what
for
makes me
Malgin.
most upset about that. They have no.
Developed him.
They put in years into his development and had no reason to move off of him. He wasn't costing anything.
Okay.
He was big and young and could score and was. He has a sense for the net.
I want you to say it. Damage. That was Kyle Dubas's.
Oh sure,
That was a damage
sure.
deal.
Yeah, sure, yeah, that's damage. I know why they traded him. They
Why?
thought he couldn't stay healthy. They believed he would never play with any consistency that they could trust he would be in the lineup.
But they're so hard to find, those guys.
But to me, it's like if he plays at all, it's a win. It's a major bonus.
Why don't you just find out first?
Find out.
Let him get hurt a couple of times
Yes.
before you put him to the curb.
Malgin's
Insane.
lighting it up at the World Championships for Switzerland.
Is that true?
I don't know. Okay, a good one. Joseph Wall's contract could be good.
Has anyone mentioned John Tavares yet?
Yeah, I think you could mention that as a bad one.
Well, see, that's why he hasn't been mentioned. Is that it's
I feel
not
so bad for
clear.
him.
It's
Yeah.
not clear.
No, it's clear.
He never.
No, it's not clear.
What's that?
It's clear.
I'm coming to his defense.
I'm saying if John Tavares signing,
Yeah.
you can't say that the addition of a guy who left for no assets and scored 450 points
Mhm.
and led the team as a captain and all that was a terrible move.
Wasn't terrible.
No, it's not. No, and he never pretended to be anything he wasn't.
Yeah.
But you overpaid him, and it caused everybody else to get overpaid. There's the domino effect of his contract. It wasn't him.
Yeah, it's the part of the same thing we talked about with the Nylander Marner stuff where it's
And he-
like
And you needed to get Marner signed. What happened is they offered Marner a contract that he turned down, and instead of bumping it up, you left it alone. Then you went to go sign Tavares when you should have had him done before you signed Tavares.
yeah.
You needed that deal done,
So you think that affected Mitch's
Before.
money? Yeah.
buddy. He's looking. Mitch at that point went from 60 points to 94.
Mhm.
And now it's like between Matthews and Marner, it's like, buddy, I led the team in scoring. How can you tell me that guy's worth more? And they didn't have a leg to stand on. They're like, you're right.
Mhm.
So we'll take you to 10-9.
Right.
Another bad one, signing Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Signing Joe Thornton.
Yeah, listen, it's to your point. Like, what mentors did you bring in?
It stunk. And I watched 24/7. What's the big deal? We're in first place.
You're first in the league for a reason, so
I'll never recover from that.
You would have liked the guys at the bottom of the lineup to have had more success because I liked Spezza, I liked Simmons, I liked Clifford, I liked Marleau, I liked Thornton, but they combined hadn't won a ton of Stanley
So
Cups.
go out this summer and find some winners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the Jake McCabe contract's really good.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Sorry, I did do a mailbag. I have literally 150 questions. I
But
didn't
we
do
got
one.
tomorrow.
No, we don't. We're
What
only
else
5
tomorrow?
to 6 tomorrow.
Oh, we are.
Too bad we can't golf.
All
It's winter here now.
Okay. Were we more negative than positive?
I think so.
All right. We go national. Hey, Rick Tocchet's going to join us.
Cool.
And Hall of Famer Kevin Lowe. We go national next on The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Welcome to the National Hour of The Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, right across all your Sportsnet platforms. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Sammy, has that not gone platinum?
Well done, Brandale.
Yeah,
That was-
great drop in as Sammy once again just caught up in his Maple Leaf misery.
We had a heck of a first hour. If you want to, Leaf Schadenfreude, is that how you say it? I don't know. But we walked through every mistake they made for a decade. So
Nothing tastes more delicious than Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
But we have the Oilers to keep Canada's hopes alive starting tonight. Oilers and Dallas Stars, 8 p.m., Sportsnet and CBC. We're going to welcome in a few minutes Kevin Lowe, Hall of Famer.
Sammy, you can listen. You can be cheering for Edmonton.
I would like to make my official statement.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he doesn't do that.
No.
No, I am.
Oh, you are? This time you are.
Yeah, I am.
You said the Leafs have to win the Cup first.
It's just never happened.
That's usually it's like I'm really coming to grips with the fact that that's probably never going to happen in my life. So
We just need it back in Canada.
no,
now.
it's not even that. It's all McDavid driven.
Mm.
He needs to get one. He is the guy in the league that needs it the most. He is the shining star of the league. He is the face of the league. All these guys always get one. He needs to get one.
Preach.
It breaks my heart
Preach.
that all those stinky Oiler fans out there are going to get it, and they're going to rub it in my little face. They're going to make fun of Toronto. They're going to talk about Toronto more than they're going to talk about the Oilers getting the Cup. But I have to say, I want McDavid to have it. So my official statement is, yes, I am rooting for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Profound. Thank you for that.
We did on occasion in our Leaf Hour edition talk about the Leafs feeling different than years past.
Mhm.
But do the Oilers not feel different this playoff than they did this time last year?
The one reason I'm hesitant to give it a hard yes is I don't know that the decor is that much better. You know, it's a lot of
Whoa. Careful. Don't let them hear that.
well,
They get so prickly anytime.
Klingberg, Wallman, Stetcher, Kulak. You know, like it's
Wallman's added a lot.
for sure. And I'm not saying Klingberg's been great for them. That is not meant to take away from them. I'm saying if you look at the teams who have won the Cup over the past 10 years, they've been loaded on the back end. The Oilers are just passable at best. With Ekholm back, Bouchard, Nurse, like then I can see it. Like if they get him back here, I don't think that this decor could get you through 2 more rounds without Ekholm. Ekholm, I think, gets you over the top. The forwards are better than they've been, and that's because Kane and Frederick have given them a physical net front edge to go with Perry and Draisaitl and all those guys around the net.
And they're scoring. They've all been able to put the puck in the net, and Connor Brown has just been such a presence.
He's a worker, man. He's a worker. He'll give you everything he's got. You know, Hyman, we talked about him in the first hour too. It's kind of the same thing. So
We talked about Hyman in the first hour?
yeah, there's a lot of playoff built dudes on the Oilers up front. So yeah, Dallas, I will say, is loaded. It's going to be a heck of a series.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the thing is with Dallas is that they are better too. And having Rantanen is just, that's a bit of an upgrade.
Their depth guy, or not depth guys, even their stars. Robertson, why Johnson has not had a lot of luck around the net. They're going to have to get going here to match what is a team that could easily put up a 5 spot every night.
Every game. The Kings were the best or second best defensive team, according to Sportlogic, this year, and they just couldn't hold back the flood. And Vegas was the other team that was definitely top 3 defensively all year long, and same thing. So good luck.
This is the first Western Conference Finals rematch in more than a decade, and just the 10th time in NHL's expansion era that the teams will face off in at least 2 straight years during the Final Four. In 4 of the previous 9 instances, each side won at least once. So I think the last time that there was a rematch would have been Kings and Blackhawks, which would have been 2014, 2013 era. So it's Stars and Oilers have a lot of playoff history. Like I remember they used to play in the first round all the time. It would be like first versus 8th. There's a lot of history between these two teams.
This would be a good special teams battle. You know how good the Oilers power play is. Both teams have been good. So the power play of Dallas in the first 2 rounds, 30.4 and 31%. And their PK was above 85% in both rounds. So their special teams have been awesome. Their goaltending has been great. It's going to be tight.
In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Kevin Lowe, 6-time Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer. And then at 5:30 Eastern, Rick Tocchet. We haven't had talk on the show, obviously, for a while.
I know.
As a head coach, he's made a couple of appearances on our show, but this one will be fun.
Yeah. I as soon as he left Vancouver, I was like, hey, Tocchet. Maybe you could have been left a little longer. And a couple texts went unreplied, and that's very unlike him. He used to get back to me a lot when he was an analyst. I was like, Tocchet's getting another job. He's not getting back to me. He's getting another job. So there we go. I'm really looking forward to having him on. He was our favorite. We had him on at least once a month in the first couple years of our show. We had him on all the time, and he's one of our faves. So I'm looking forward to getting him back on.
I thought there was a chance he'd just take the TV thing for a year again.
You know what I like about this, though? I think Philly's PR is pretty open, right?
Oh, yeah.
We
They're
had
really good.
Pierre on, we had Jones
Really good.
on,
Actually, the best in
multiple
the business,
times
probably.
throughout the year.
Yeah.
So, if we could probably get Talk a few times next year.
Yeah,
A little more challenging when he was with Vancouver. Trying to track
he'll
down.
be our Flyers analyst.
Yeah, he could be. But hey, the best Flyers analysis we got this year, shout out Charlie O'Connor, but it was from Jones and Briere, who were
Yes.
like, we're not a playoff team.
We suck.
We're trading everyone we can. They were in a playoff spot when we had him on. He's like, we're not good.
In November, by the way. In November,
Yes.
he's telling us
Yeah.
we're trading everybody. All right, a guy that's made a few trades of his own over his executive career, Kevin Lowe, now joins us. Stanley Cup champion 6 times, one with me. Lowsy, how are you, pal? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure, Kip. Always looking forward to coming on your show.
So where are we on the Oiler vibe out west here, and compared to last season or going back to your dynasties?
Well, I would say, it depends who you're talking to. If you're asking me personally, I would say that this is as good a team as the Oilers have had since the dynasty years. And that would include the run in 06 when they went to Game 7 of the finals. I think what Jeff Jackson and Stan Bowman have done, cobbling together some players to really fill out a real need in the lineup, particularly for me, which I always thought was lacking, was the heaviness up front, and they've addressed that. And then, one step even better than that, they've added the puck moving on the back end, which really complements the forward group we have. So. If I would have looked at the Oilers teams, even last year's team, they didn't have enough heaviness up front. And that was a difference in the Florida series. If you ask me, they have heaviness up front. They're a heavy, hard team, evident to what they did to Vegas in that 5-game series.
So, Losey, do you believe that the type of goals that get scored in playoffs are different? Because it feels like the success that these guys are having offensively, it's a lot of Kane and Hyman and Frederick and kind of guys around that blue paint.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
You have to go to the blue paint. There's, everybody's blocking shots. The goalies are, especially to get this time of year, the goalies are all good. You have to, even in the glory years, we scored goals by the boatloads as you guys would remember. And when you're playing against good teams, you got to go to the paint. That's where you got to score the goals.
We're watching and listening to 6-time Stanley Cup champion Kevin Lowe, Hockey Hall of Famer. So, Losey, just going back to the blue line here, and I know we can talk about the addition of Wallman and even Klingberg coming in. But the one thing that I've noticed more than anything is that guys like Bouchard and Nurse have limited the gaps, the turnovers, and they're better. They're less of them. And where's the stability coming from those two guys in particular for me?
Well, I think Darnell, if anything over the years, he's in the regular season particularly, I think sometimes his mind wanders a little bit, I think he's built for the playoffs. I remember the World Juniors in Canada a number of years ago when they played the Russians in the finals. And that said a lot for me in terms of what Darnell Nurse can do. Is he was a wrecking machine in that game. For anybody who remembers the game, I believe it was the gold medal game. And He's got great reach. He's great athletic ability and lots of desire. So he plays his best hockey when the game's on the line. And relative to Evan Bouchard, it's hard when you're a skilled guy like that. Paul Coffey's a great example. During the regular season, he wasn't the best defenseman in terms of defending, but he could. It's just that the need for him was to be more offensive than defensive. And I think I don't want to compare Evan Bouchard to Paul Coffey quite yet, but Evan was really good last year in the playoffs. I believe he was good the year before. Yeah, his defensive mind wanders a little bit in the regular season, but if you can get the kind of hockey from those types of guys to get you in the playoffs, and then they can raise the game, then certainly you're able to win with those guys, and I believe you can win with them.
So Bouchard's in his 5th year now, and 25 years of age. Do you believe that there's a certain number of games a guy needs, no matter what, to really fall into kind of what he is or who he is defensively as well?
Yeah, I would say, defensemen, for me personally, and I was a defensive defenseman. Started off offensive, but quickly realized watching Paul Coffey that I better learn something else other than And I think it wasn't until my 3rd year in the league where I finally felt comfortable in the position. And then, it took a few more years where you got to go through those learning experience. Like unfortunately, the kid for the Kings that turned the puck over, number 55,
Byfield.
what's his name?
Quentin Byfield.
Yeah,
Quentin Byfield.
You have to do that once, and then you'll know the next time. Like you'll know it takes time for those kinds of things, and particularly with defensemen. Relative to Bush, if we're talking about Bush, he knows how to play defense, and when he sets his mind to it, he can. And for me, a good comparison to Bouchard is Larry Murphy. And Larry Murphy was a guy that, didn't appear to be the best defensive defenseman, but the guy won Stanley Cups, right? I never worried too much about Evan's play with the Oilers. If the player has it in their heart to want to win and learn, they'll find a way to learn. They'll find a way to do what they need eventually. And I think Bush is he's proven a lot of people wrong. And I think any team can win with Evan Bouchard in the lineup, can win a Stanley Cup.
So as the league continues to expand, and it's up to 32 teams now, it just gets harder to win a Stanley Cup, right? It's less common that individuals will be on cup-winning teams. So how important is it for McDavid to get his in terms of legacy at this point? We know what a great player and star and winner he is, but how much does he need to win a Stanley Cup?
Well, that's a good question to ask him, but I think both you and I know the answer.
Yeah,
he wants to win it desperately. And Wayne was the same way. Wayne was, he was 3 or 4 years into his career, winning scoring records, MVP, all that stuff. And I remember him saying to us, at the end of the day, none of that matters really. And it wasn't, some people say that, but they don't really mean it. They like being the MVP. But at the end of the day, if you want to be up there with the greats of all time, you have to have a Stanley Cup on your resume. And I don't think I think the Oilers have the best chance they've had in decades to win a Stanley Cup. And I believe in his time frame, it's going to happen. They could run into a red hot Ottinger right now or get to the next round, and play unbelievably, outshoot them and not win a cup. That's very possible, but I think in the coming years, they've tasted it, and management will continue to add players to try to prolong these guys, particularly the top guys on the team. They've got a lot of runway still, I think, to win some more cups if they do happen to win it this year.
Lozy, we know the challenge ahead of them is the Dallas Stars, in particular Mikko Rantanen, and how much of a focus do you think it will be on if we shut this guy down, we shut the Dallas Stars down? Is there anyone that you guys came across in your years where you would look at one guy and say, that's the guy that we need to shut down and we're going to win?
I can't really I can't really think of anyone. Well, we never played the Penguins in the finals, so I'm sure it would have been Lemieux or Yager or both. I think for us, and I think it's safe to say for the Oilers going in, they have a really good game plan right now. And if they execute it, they don't have to worry about any player in particular. And that's nothing against Mikko Rantanen or any of the other top forwards that they have. If you have that dogged attack like they had in the latter games of the LA series and the Vegas series, then it's hard for those offensive guys to get any sustained pressure because you're having to defend as a group so much. And I suspect that game plan for the Oilers is not going to change, that heavy and hard and playing the other team's end. And it was the same for us. I mean, we never had to look at any individual player on an opposition team. We had a really hard, heavy forecheck, relentless forecheck, and typically we just kept the other team on their heels most of the game.
So your Oilers teams played my dad's Islanders teams in 2 cup finals. And I look at the way Edmonton's going here. They played LA. How many times in a row have they played the Kings? Could be Florida again in the final. They played Dallas in this. What is it like? What's the experience like when you're playing a team you're so familiar with? It's almost like you know them as well as your own team, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, your dad's team was they were the gold standard for sure for just an unbelievable two-way game, and we had to learn from them. They, in fairness to them, they ran out of gas. I mean, they had 19 straight series and stuff. But back to familiarity, your question, it's a good thing. You understand the opposition, the players individually, what makes them tick, their moves and stuff. So it's for the athletes that are, studious and, can absorb that information, retain it, and utilize in the game, it's a big, big advantage to be playing the same teams every year.
Lozy, we know that Stuart Skinner is going to come in with a lot of confidence and the goaltending in general and what they were able to do with Pickard as well. But how important is it for Skinner to maintain the confidence and the look? And how important is it that the team does it their best to kind of insulate that so we're not sitting here after game one questioning the Oilers' goaltending again?
Yeah, and just sort of the answer is the same as I just finished.
Yeah,
it's the Oilers' game plan. It's their relentless attack. Playing in the other team's end is always a good way to have to worry less about the goaltending. And I'm not for a minute suggesting that the plan is that way because they have no faith in Stuart Skinner, because obviously Skinner got to them Game 7 of the finals last year, and he's back to where his game was. And the thing again about Stuart Skinner, I've seen enough of him over the years. I mean, as a kid, he grew up playing minor hockey here in Edmonton, and then he played in the Western Hockey League for Lethbridge, and then played in the American League. That he can play high level hockey. Yeah, like a lot of goaltenders, he can have an off game, but it doesn't seem to bother him. He's able to bounce back. So, I think if Skinner does have an off night, I don't think anybody in Edmonton's, maybe the players, let's put it this way, maybe the fans, because they all feel that in general. I mean, you don't become a goaltending hero until you've won. And I hope that the Oilers can go on to win, because I think Skinner's done a lot for that. Or if Pickard gets back in there, I remember Billy Ranford back in 1990. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy. Well, we were down 3-1 in the first series, and the Oilers management was questioning whether they were going to play Billy Ranford in the 5th game. And the only reason why they didn't is because the other guy hadn't played forever and wasn't really a top goalie, and they went back with Billy Ranford, and he won the Conn Smythe Trophy. So
amazing.
Yeah, it is really amazing when you think about it. And I remember that conversation going, oh boy, like I didn't know what to think at the time, because I'm glad they were making the decision, and obviously they made the right one.
Oh, yeah, fork in the road right there in history. Hey, Lozy, awesome stuff. The Magic starts tonight, 8 p.m., Sportsnet, CBC, Oilers, and the Stars. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Okay, guys. Anytime.
That
Thanks
is
so much.
Kevin Lowe. 6-time Stanley Cup champion.
So many cups.
Who will be-
5 with the Edmonton Oilers.
Who will be the next player to win 6 Stanley Cups?
There's just
is it possible now?
No.
Like
no, I don't know. It is just
Corey
What a
Perry's been to
number.
what, 5 Cup finals or something? 4 maybe.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the game that I went to Edmonton with the Rangers and Kevin Lowe's on the Rangers, and we come off warm up and I'm following him off the ice and warm up, and an Oiler fan starts kind of chirping him a little bit.
Mhm.
Losey, like a light switch, goes off on this guy. Like, I mean, he's like bombs coming back at him. Hey, when we win the cup in New York, I'll bring it right down here and I'll jam it down here. And I'm like, oh my God, did that guy win 5 Stanley Cups here? Did he really? I'm like, but he's like,
Competitive.
no, that's competitiveness. And that's like, I'm wearing this jersey and I'm loyal to this jersey. And, that's it. It's like, that's the fire
That's awesome.
in the belly
That's awesome.
that makes you win 6 Stanley Cups.
6 is great.
It's funny how guys, like when their career is over and they've played for a few teams, kind of default back to, the team you had the most success with or whatever. We chatting with BX. I don't know how many years he was in Anaheim, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it was. And it's like, no, when it's over, you're still a Canuck. Like he went there and he poured his heart out for Anaheim, did everything he could, and lives there.
When you
But
pour
he's a Canuck.
blood in a uniform, man,
Right.
it's never comes off.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys even hear me ever mention the Kings, who my dad played for 2 years, right? He's an Islander.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
never really came up. There's not King stuff in our house.
No?
No. I got a couple of sweaters.
Oh, nice.
Gretzky stick.
Do you think I think it's important for Skinner to get out of the gate here, big time here. If there's any lapse in goaltending, I think people will bail on Edmonton's chances.
But he could also be that Bill Ranford story. Like, he could easily be the guy.
Yeah.
I got some stat here in games 1-4 in the playoffs last couple of years. He's like an 860 save percentage. Games 5-7, he's like a 927. Like he could get this rep. If he carries him on in now, it's like he got it done. He was a big game goalie.
Like, are they going to go to Olivier Rodrigue?
Is
That's the
Pickard
backup.
Still not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Day to day,
Peter's
like
not
it's
Is
ready.
he an artist?
Olivier
Musician?
Rodrigue or Oliver Rodrigue. I don't know which. It's French. I think he's French.
That's
so
not an actor.
no, that's their backup goalie. Maybe he's acting like a goalie, but he's there. So like,
An opera performer.
I think
It
there's
is.
probably some understanding from the Oiler fans. That's like, love it or hate it, it's Stu, baby.
It's Stu.
Like I don't think you're gonna go to Olivier
No.
Rodrigue. That's how it's spelled. So I'm going with it. I think I'm right.
Yeah, okay, great.
I'm right.
All right.
Game time.
Yeah, we'll do game time. Let me find my sheet. I think I can do it. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Won the easiest money of my life last night betting on the Cats.
I bet on the Cats, and I paired it with Svechnikov shots. Just
Why
give
would
me
you do
2
that?
Shots, and he
Don't do
couldn't
that.
even do that.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers were the easiest bet of all time for me last night, and I won. Tonight, the Western Conference Final gets underway, and the price on the Edmonton Oilers has gone up. They are plus 115 underdogs tonight. The Dallas Stars are minus 135. When I bet the Oilers yesterday, they were plus 105. So money has obviously come in on the Dallas Stars. They're the home team.
Dallas at home is 6-1 on the road. They're 2-4. Goal differential plus 9 at home, minus 13 on the road. They're a good home team.
Okay. So they're pretty big favorites tonight. Can't say you hate the value with the Edmonton Oilers at plus 115 on that. And I'm just quickly looking. As I'm trying to pull this up here, give me Connor McDavid to have 2 assists tonight at plus 185.
That's
Okay.
a good bet. Really like that bet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must 15 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, the new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, Rick Tocchet, will join us. We'll get into a few news and notes if we've got time, including Marchand at it again last night in Game 1. That more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. As promised, the new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers joins us, Rick Tocchet. Toc, how are you, pal?
How are you guys?
We're good. What's going on, man? Like, you know,
a few things have happened since we talked.
You were once upon a time one of like our key guests. Like you were a star on our show, and then you're gone, and then you're back. And I thought now for sure you were going back with Biz on TNT for a year and a half because, you know, get out of a bit of a circus situation, and now you're right back in it with Keith Jonesy, who's now like a star now, executive star.
Yeah, I've been everywhere, bouncing like a toad here everywhere. But yeah, no, it's been quite a ride. Trying to figure a few things out, but I'm actually, Nick, I'm pretty excited about the opportunity working with Danny and Jonesy, and trying to turn it around here. Like I know the Flyers, Jonesy was pretty forthright saying, hey, we've been in the back page a lot lately the last few years, and we're trying to get back on the front page. So a lot of work to be done, but kind of a good bunch of guys to do it with.
Talk, following the storylines in Vancouver with you there, and then ultimately finding out whether you're going to stay or not, just in terms of the year in general, how emotionally draining was it? And would you ever have considered taking a year off before jumping back in?
Yeah, if I thought it was, going to hamper me and my energy level, but listen, head coaches, you have to deal with stuff, and I know you have to deal with your share of stuff. But I still have the energy. I still have the drive to be part of a puzzle, so I'm excited about it. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, when you have opportunities, you think of everything to make sure you make the right decision.
So seems like you had a choice, or at least there's potentially an opportunity to stay in Vancouver. You ended up going back to Philly. You are a Flyer. That's what we've heard from everyone there, that you are a Flyer. What was it that made you feel like this was the place for you to be?
Yeah, well, I know the area really well. You got to remember, guys, I've been gone for 20, 25 years, so it's not, like the old Flyer narrative. So I've been gone. I've been lucky enough to be, rub elbows with a lot of different hockey minds, with different ideas and learning from them. So hopefully I can come back and bring some knowledge to that. But I also listen, the brand, the Flyers, the crest. I mean, it's it's an iconic symbol. It's when you talk about the Flyers, you want to bring back that identity. A hard place to play. I know the game has changed in the sense that entertainment value with these highly skilled guys, which they have a guy like Mitchkov, who I'm anxious to work with, who could be he's actually a star now, but could he go to a different level? So there's a lot of tools to work with. Obviously, we have some weaknesses that we have to shore up, but really excited about the challenge.
Talk in terms of now, as early as next year, do you go about your business as if this is a team, and why shouldn't we be talking about a playoff spot, and why shouldn't we be driving for that? And the expectation is we want to be in the mix, not just playing meaningful games, but actually thinking about starting in September, making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, like the one thing approach with Danny and just methodically looking at the team and when he thinks that you should swing the bat and all that stuff. I think he's got it down really pat, to be honest with you, Nick. I'll be honest with you. Like there's certain, I think there's about $30+ million in cap space next year. So they don't want to do anything really crazy now. I think they're just like I said, you got 3 first-round picks this year. it's really, to me, and I've said this before, the process, it's the most overused word in pro sports. I'm actually I was joking with some other people. I got to think of a different word, but it's true. To me, as coaches, you got to go in there and build the environment where players trust you and the system and their career on you with your staff, and then the results will come.
Now, Rick, you won a Jack Adams in Vancouver, had a lot of success, and you talked about your energy level this summer. Like if you felt like you didn't have it, I think it's reasonable to just wonder, was last year exhausting with the Canucks? It felt like an awful lot was going on just from us being on the outside.
Yeah, I think Jim Rutherford stated it well. 3/4 through the year, there's a lot of things that we could never get some traction on. And you look at we're a few points out of the playoffs. So I'm proud of the guys for that, hanging in there. But for the most part, we couldn't get traction. You just couldn't. There was always something that came up, whether it was injuries or obviously the situation with Petey and Millsy. We just couldn't grab it together. And as a coach, you try hard. And is there something I could have did different? I take a deep dive on myself. Could I have done something different earlier on? So that's something that hopefully I'll learn from if these situations arise again.
Sometimes when I talk to a few people, they tell me Rick Tocchet's tired of babysitting in Vancouver, and I'm just wondering now that was that the case, or is this just the way it is today compared to maybe our days in the dressing room? Is it more par for the course now that you're just going to have to manage this generation a little bit more? That's the new kind of way that you got to coach here? Or, is there a certain point where, like, I'm paid to coach here, just coach?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. I think for me, communication is so big. You got to communicate with these guys. These guys are high-level athletes. They're smart guys. There's a lot of whys and why we do it this way, but they're fun to work with. Obviously, you got to empower the leadership group, and they can help you along the way. But to be honest with you, I think it's a communication thing. I think every year I got to try to even think better ways to communicate with a player. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I think that's something that I got to get better myself, is to communicate.
It's so funny because we're talking about like the evolution of the game, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like when I watch playoff hockey, it's still hockey at the end of the day. Like it's not that different. Hey, like I felt like for a while the pendulum might swing to this crazy skill game, but it feels like the type of game that you tend to preach still is what has success in the postseason.
Well, the league's a copycat league. I think all of us coaches do about 85% the same. It's the 15% you get judged on, on the way you practice, the way your messaging, the communication skills. But if you look at Florida, okay, they got to the finals 2 years ago. They won the cup last year, and now they're in the Final Four, one game up on Carolina. What do? They play their identity. They play a north style. They play an abrasive style. I bet you they hard rim the puck on forechecks more than any team, and you can probably look at analytics. They'll tell you that. So I think that's the key. But obviously, you got to there's time and place for the talent, and obviously you got to promote that stuff. But you got to play your identity, and I really respect Paul Maurice, the way he coaches that team. They play their identity. They're hard forechecking. They don't apologize the way they play. They do what they do to win, and it's been pretty damn successful. So I think a lot of teams will try to copy them.
Mm-hmm. We've got Edmonton and Dallas tonight. Last night, they had a great showing against Carolina. I imagine that you think that there isn't any reason why the Panthers shouldn't be able to repeat.
Yeah, well, you know what? You look at I'm actually really impressed how Knobloch, especially after Game 3, L.A., using the bench. I mean, Edmonton's they're rolling. They got all four lines playing. Koss got the D playing very well. Skinner bouncing back with a couple of shutouts, so they're good. And big fan of Pete DeBoer in Dallas. The system, the way they play, a lot of depth. Getting Heiskanen back is huge. A lot of good storylines. Obviously, I think Carolina, they'll bounce back, and Roddy's got that team believing. So a lot of great storylines. It's going to be tough. If Florida does win, it's going to be really tough. But any 4 teams can win in this thing when you get this far.
Doc, you mentioned your teams. You head into summer. Obviously, UFA season comes around, also that draft. I just can't even believe you mentioned the first round picks, or sorry, just the picks that you guys have. 7 picks in the first 2 rounds this upcoming season. Do you get involved with the type of player you want to build your team, or you just coach whoever they send you?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much there's really. I don't see these players. I mean, they might ask your opinion on what do you think we need the type of player, but you rely on your scouts and then management and our job as a coach, but. Yeah, we're having a draft party down at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City, and you're going to be standing up a lot because there's 7 picks in the first round. That's going to be kind of fun. I don't know who they're picking, to be honest with you, but it'll be fun to watch and seeing these young prospects, and hopefully we can hit a bunch of these stars.
Hey, Talk, great having you back on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. And listen, we've got you penciled in every Thursday next year, starting in the fall.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, listen, you know me, what I was doing to you, I love coming on your show. Obviously, it's a little different when you're a head coach, but if I'm coming on your show a lot, that means I got fired. So
I don't think you have to worry about that for a while, my friend.
Let me marinate a little bit.
For sure. All right, catch your breath, because before you know it, you're right back in the thick of things at training camp. So all the best, pal. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
so much.
Thanks for the support. Take care, boys.
Rick
Appreciate it.
Tocchet. Man, oh, man.
They got Flyers first, Avs first, Oilers first, Flyers second, Ducks second, Blue Jackets second, Flames second.
That's a lot of seconds in first.
Yeah, and then they have their own.
That's more than the
third,
Leafs have in the next
fifth,
15 years.
Sixth.
And you wonder at some point they're going to flip him for
Something better.
Immediate assets that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what would look good on their back end?
It's Morgan Riley.
Morgan Riley.
Great.
It's tempting.
Morgan Riley would be a perfect fit in Philly.
But that back end's funny because, if Drysdale could become who they hope he could become, if that could happen, it'd be really nice. Because Travis Sanheim is 29 and really good.
Playing awesome at the World Championship.
Rasmus Ristolainen, I think, has found himself a little bit.
Who they trade Drysdale for?
Cutter.
But,
up front there.
How good do you think he's going to be in Anaheim?
No idea.
I mean, he scored 20 times this year, I think. He's probably going to be.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's got a chance to be really good. And I think Drysdale's coming along, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how high his ceiling is just yet.
I will say on the Flyers, the guys I like Michkov's going to be interesting. That Tyson Forster, I like him. I think he's a nice player. But they're thin. They need Couturier, Tippett, Konechny. They need big years out of those guys, and they need to find a way to get the top-end guys. They need some top-end talent.
Okay.
Hardest thing to get.
What do you got for us, Sammy?
Oh, it's Leafs related, so we'll leave it.
At least they're a real team. What do you got?
It was just one of the mailbag questions with the presidency question that's been, that was on the front page of Sportsnet.ca today. Kyper looks like he wants to change it.
No, I'm okay. I just wanted to get a little bit into last night.
Okay, we can talk about it in a second. But,
Okay, go ahead.
this guy named Paul sent me a tweet and said, Sammy, let's go completely off the board and give the keys, president, to John Cooper and then just get out of his way.
Okay. Thank you for that thought. I'm in favor of just giving jobs to smart people, and there you go. Figure it out from there.
I think teams are going to reassess the president's job.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
no John Cooper?
no president's job.
Okay. No president's job. All right.
It is something that owners now have just been like, wait, so we just added a $3 million position that
Like
we
if you got
never
a general
needed?
manager on a day-to-day operations and they're paid to make key decisions, then
Let them make decisions.
give them the job. That's the way it was 20, 30 years ago. There's no president.
It has felt like a bit of a handheld job now. Like there's someone over you as a GM being like, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting thought, one that hadn't crossed my mind.
Panthers.
Okay, Florida
Hurricanes,
Panthers.
Game 1.
5-2, really 5-1. Now, did any of their fans throw jerseys on the ice at all? Or
here we go.
did they?
Here we go. Oh, it's the
Hey,
fans'
hey,
fault.
Did they call?
Oh.
Did they call Carolina quitters or anything, or are they just okay? Because
They've lost 13 straight conference final games.
last time I checked, Florida was really good.
Florida's a very good hockey club.
13
Is-
straight conference final games.
Is that all?
Carolina?
Yeah, but their fans don't care. That's the difference.
Is that all we saw last night? Was just another example of how good, as Rick Tocchet told us, Florida is.
Yes. You know what's really funny is post-game, Paul Maurice said he didn't really like his team's game, but he said he understood why. Like, right, they had a day off between series. So he says,
Weren't they supposed
give
to
him a
come in
pass.
and just get the pass for stinking and being tired?
Yeah, but no, he said he didn't really like how they played, but they got the win. That's great. And Brendan Moore, on the other hand, said he liked his team's game. They were okay with how it went.
Yeah, when you 5 on 20 for the goalie,
Yeah,
that's
Freddie Anderson looked like who he was.
the
who you
Bears are who we
he
thought they
was.
were. Like what I say about being a disliker.
Yeah,
All you got to do is wait.
just wait. 'cause
Just
you're gonna
wait.
get your chance.
Listen, Carolina had an easy path. I'll say it. They played against the Devils, who had no offense and were banged up,
No defense either.
They did
sent
nothing.
Everyone.
and then they played against the Capitals, who we thought
I
were
was
good.
never a big
I thought they were going to be good. I thought they were going to beat Carolina, and then I watched it. I'm like, oh, they have nothing against a good team. They beat the crap out of the crappy Habs and whatever. Carolina had a very easy path, and now they are playing a real team, and they got filled last night.
I'm
Filled in.
torn. I'm torn on this, like whether Carolina is going to mount a series out of this.
They could.
The Hurricanes, by all underlying shot metrics, are like the team. They have the puck all the time. They get all the shots. They just don't score on the shots because they don't have elite talent. So I'm curious. It's basically up to Bob. It's like, well, Bob, if they're going to get 35 shots a game, can Bob have a couple of games where he looks like he did against the Leafs in their wins? Because if Bob's good, Carolina's got no shot.
Yep. Carter Verhaeghe, by the way, we forgot to include that in the worst moves of the last 10 years to the Leafs. He was on the Leafs at one point.
Yeah. Was he, though?
Yeah, Tampa also gave up on him, too, so you can't really include it. What were you going to say about Marchand?
Yes, ejected from the game last night. Nice little exchange.
He hit Gostisbehere,
Gostisbehere shot a puck at him.
shot a puck at him in a hilarious fashion. A big, winding Matt Sundin wrist shot.
A very Alfredson versus
There you go. A little bit of a run.
Yep.
Ghost isn't happy. Hiya! And Marchand's like, oh, no, you didn't.
that's exactly the type
Gosper,
of
get your mitts off.
I
Exactly the-
absolutely loved every second of that.
Listen,
Right?
Yes.
I've come around a lot of Marchand, but that's the exact type of guy he goes after.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that, but I also
for
think
sure.
it's the right
Yeah.
reaction, Sam.
Sure.
It's the right
He's pissed.
reaction.
I get it. 100%.
Well,
Trying
he's
to
not
hit a
going
guy,
after
guy shot a puck
Tom
at him.
Wilson.
No, but if
Yeah.
like anyone with any toughness shoots that puck at him, he's not doing that.
He's doing something.
Sure. Maybe he says something mean to them or gives them a little cross check,
Spear
but the
him.
gloves aren't coming off. So it's just, I mean, that's a lot of the Panthers.
Gostisbehere hit him with a pretty good glove on.
Yeah, but he's been
punch.
like this his whole career,
I know.
too.
I know.
It's great.
So
It's great. They're up 4-1. There's 11 minutes left in the third.
It's a perfect time to do that.
Perfect time. The starting a sideshow has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
Ooh.
did, there's no league involvement on. They didn't say anything, did
I
they?
think if you're Gostisbehere, you can make the claim.
That you try to dump it in,
Yeah.
ice it
Shoot it down the ice.
off his head.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, if he did shoot it at him, it's pretty bad, right? Like, that's a not cool thing. Just
Oh,
because
yeah.
it hits him in the padding doesn't mean
I
it's-
would have snapped too.
Yeah.
what was the one? Didn't it happen at some point this year where a guy?
Yeah, Mikkola shot at the length of the ice.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Someone at the end of the game.
and I made the case that there's time on the clock.
You're allowed to
He
try to
ripped
score.
he ripped a shot
Yeah.
towards the net.
Are we going to see another sweep here or no?
I think Carolina's all right. Carolina's all right.
I said
It's a pretty
I
good
said Panthers in 5. So
Oh, you did.
I did, yeah. I did. I think I did. I feel like I wanted to say that. I just think the Panthers are way better and that Carolina has an easy path to the conference finals every year. And that if they had to go in the Atlantic, they'd have a very similar record to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Meow. Gustav Forsling, pretty effective player. Ekblad scores for them. You know,
You see
kind of the
their
same recipe
Makala
here.
rush last night
Who?
or Mikko?
Nikola.
What's his name?
Nico
Nico
Mikkola.
Mikko
Nikola.
But this guy looks like Hedman.
Do that. You're not helping.
He looks like Hedman out there.
I know. Well, by the way, shout out Chris Pronger on the Sportsnet panel
So
last
good.
night. He was wonderful. Really did a great job, and he basically used himself as a reference. Like, Mikkola is a pretty good skater now. He's getting around pretty good. He's looking like the real deal.
But has he ever tried to step on someone's head?
Did Pronger try to step on someone's head?
But he almost every game.
Do you know
do
how
believe
Do you know
it.
how much? Oh my God, they just get to cheat down there.
No, they have good contracts.
No, they just get to cheat. They sign contracts for way under
The
market value.
Mikkola one was not under market value at the time. What's he making?
$2.5 million
For how long?
for this year and next year.
Yeah.
3-year contract,
He
$2.5
came over
million.
from St. Louis. You could have had him for a song.
But
No, he went to the Rangers, right? They traded him to the Rangers. He played there.
how did he get down there?
He was St. Louis, and then he got traded to the
Oh, what a
Rangers at the
find.
deadline,
Mhm.
What a find.
and then they signed him to
Go.
a cheater contract.
They signed him not as UFA?
Yeah,
What are the Leafs doing?
I think he was
big-
UFA. Yeah,
Plays
Expires-
both sides.
Yeah.
He's
Anyways.
effective.
All right, give me a score tonight. Who gets out ahead here? Who's jumping out of the gate tonight?
The Dallas Stars have lost their last 6 straight home openers in these sort of series. I didn't have the stats somewhere. So I'm going to give it to the Oil. I'm going to say the Oil go ahead and get the first one tonight. 4-3. 4-3.
Oil
They're
tonight
going to
too.
score some goals.
Oil.
You going to bet on Dallas?
Yeah, I think I'll go with Dallas. This one's going 7-2, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's going the distance.
This team has struggled. Dallas has struggled in the first period of a lot of games. I got a great stat. Distance coverage during the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. Who skated the farthest? I don't know. McDavid is third. He's skated 75 kilometers in playoffs so far.
Holy
Kyle
smokes!
Connor has
Skated all the way to Oshawa.
Kyle
Connor
Connor, 75.7.
And he's a winger.
And the number one
Austin
most
Matthews.
distance skated, 80.9 kilometers, Thomas Harley.
Harls.
D-man for the Dallas Stars is doing the distance out there.
Oh,
Love
man.
me some Harls.
He's going to make a lot of money.
He's. I mean, 2 guys, Team Canada future on the Dallas
Yeah.
Stars, right? Harley and Wyatt Johnson.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
studs. I love that team.
Highest percentage of team goals involved in a single postseason since 1997. Third place, Marty St. Louis. Second, Wayne Gretzky, 55.6. Number 1, Mikko Rantanen has been in on 55.9% of Dallas's goals.
Wow.
In the playoffs.
That's unbelievable.
Good trade, Colorado. Good trade.
Yeah. Oh my God.
How's Marty Natchez treating you?
Oh my God. That's
What were
He's
they
leaving.
doing?
He's going to leave, too.
No, he's got
He's got another year.
another year.
But they're going to trade him.
I mean, you gotta. You can't have any remnants of that on the roster. You just have to be like, sorry, Marty, you're gone.
So
We can't have Nate looking
It's
at
like
you
Back to the
next year.
Future.
You gotta go, bro.
Right? Remember that Back to the Future when he's looking at his picture and his legs are disappearing
Oh,
and then his
It's
body's.
Natchez.
That's what they got to do with Natchez. They got to go back to the future and then you got to watch him kind of erase from the picture.
Oh, that's funny.
So last year they met in the
Great
conference
movie.
final. The Oilers 1-6. Not sure what you guys remember about it, but power play percentage for the Stars 0%. Didn't score a goal. Goalie was way worse than Edmonton.
All right. Just like that. 2 hours gone. And once again, we've solved nothing.
Thank you to Jason Murdoch for those stats.
1 hour tomorrow, 5 to 6.
All right. So I'm going to come here and just wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Our thanks to Kevin Lowe and Rick Tocchet. Enjoy Game 1, Western Conference Final, right here on Sportsnet.